Dawn had broken. It was 1932 in the farming heartland of Western Australia. The hot sun rose across open plains, warming the earth. A farmer sat silently beside his truck, inspecting broken fences, muttering about the destroyed sections. Off in the distance a cloud of dust rose. Another windstorm, he guessed. Then he felt it, a thundering movement across the plains. Panic swept over him as he moved to the tray of his truck, pulling the shotgun out and ensuring that it was loaded. Prepared to give anything for his land, he stood ready to fight whatever came over the horizon next. What he wasn't expecting, though, was a great horde of flightless birds. Finally seeing the great mass, 20,000 emus migrating inland, the farmer grabbed his truck door handle. He had to warn his neighbours, get the word out. As he drives, he thinks about his fellow farmers, soldier settlers from World War I. What were they going to do if more crops were destroyed? The government had made promises, but he knew better. Or maybe he was jumping the gun. When he finally made it to his fellow farmers and described the oncoming monstrosity, many were at a loss as to what they could do. Who could they call for help? What they needed, thought the farmers, was guns. A lot of guns. They had one option: call the military. The soldiers arrived to find the farmers eagerly awaiting the arrival of a force comparable to the kind they fought alongside in the trenches. A true blue Aussie force prepared to take the fight right to the birds. To the farmers' displeasure, 3 soldiers showed up with 2 Lewis guns and not quite enough ammunition to complete the job. Being optimistic, the farmers guided the soldiers to the area where the emu had last been seen. Another farm had been hit the day before, fences down, crops entirely crushed underfoot of this feathered menace. To make matters worse, the farmers noted, rabbits would come in after the initial strike and finish the job. This was too much for many of the farmers, and they urged the soldiers on. Setting up for the first morning, they selected an area with a wide range of view, plenty of water sources, and got busy with the task of waiting until the precocious poultry came into range. Tensions were rising. The birds seemed to be planning. Surely not, thought the soldiers. Absurd. They're just stupid birds. No, the soldiers agreed these birds most certainly were not smart enough to plan anything at all. Slowly, over several hours, the birds approached the nest. As enough of them crossed into range, the soldiers signaled to one another. It was time. As one, they unleashed hell on the demon birds, hands gripping their weapons to compensate for recoil. To the soldiers' horror, the birds, on hearing the guns firing, immediately scattered into smaller, more mobile units. Larger birds took charge of smaller birds, and all broke formation and scattered in random directions. Worse still, the supposedly high-tech military weapons jammed almost immediately. The farmers watching on were in disbelief of both the abject failure of their soldiers and the emu's apparent guerrilla tactics. Several reporters arrived, questioning locals, but between failed ambushes, emus dodging with mocking abandon, and dwindling ammo, the soldiers were exhausted. It seemed to the farmers that the soldiers were no match for the emus. The bullets were almost as ineffective as the positions the soldiers were taking up. To get an advantage over the nimble birds, the soldiers proposed mounting the Lewis guns to a farm truck. Rumbling along, the soldiers could barely aim the gun, let alone keep it stable enough to fire properly. The emus outran them. The bullets missed. The soldiers had failed again. At least this time the guns hadn't jammed. The farmers were stunned. The emus were chewing on some wheat. At this point it was clear that the soldiers had a plan. The emus did not, and only one of those was a good strategy. The military withdrew its forces. Around 1,000 emus were killed, and just under 10,000 bullets fired, almost exactly 10 rounds per bird. The government backed away. The bounty system was reintroduced for the farmers, who had bolstered their fences. The emus just kept walking. The birds didn't declare victory. They didn't have to.